Well, if we're honest, I guess in a lot of ways it is my fault. I admit it. I am mostly to blame for your predicament. Sorry. Or maybe you're welcome. One of the two, you decide. But I have a lot of the blame right here on my shoulders for the predicament of disorganization that you find yourself in. I have heard your cries for help. They have burdened my soul. They have. And now we find ourselves yet again in the TMP bunker. My name is Nutnfancy, Lieutenant Colonel Nutnfancy, if you will, humbly at your service, reporting for duty, once again to deliver you from the hell of disorganization, of which, yes, again, I am mostly to blame, I think. You see, I am a gear adventure channel. I review amazing things that are truly awesome. I'm totally honest in my reviews. If it sucks, I'll tell you. If it's awesome, I will tell you. And the thing is, when it is awesome, you are convinced and you go out and you buy the things I've reviewed, that I've recommended. And so what has happened is you have this huge mound of shit piling up. And your wife comes in as you watch yet another Nutnfancy review, and she goes, "Really? Really? You still watch that moron?" And you're like, "Yes, I do. I love his videos and I love his gear. It's awesome. It makes me happy." At least that's what I hope you say. You should say. Hey, listen, dude. We live in a modern world with modern things, and life is pretty darn good, even with all the garbage going on in our UDR world. But man, do we live at the height of technology? It's probably going to get better, but I am a gear reviewer, and I just pick and choose the best things available to mankind. And I think I do a pretty darn good job of it. And I convince thousands upon thousands of people of these items, and lo and behold, they buy them. They love them. They don't get them and go, "Oh, this is crappy. This guy's full of crap." No, they say, "Hey, it's everything you said it was. I love it. Makes me happy. It's really fun." But now, Nutnfancy, I have like 200 knives, 100 watches, 50 guns, 70 scopes. I'm making stuff up, but I'm getting close, I bet. I have all kinds of tactical gear. I have preparedness items of all sorts and descriptions. And you're to blame. Well, kind of, mostly. That's okay. I'll take the blame, bro. I'm okay. Put it right here. Right here. So here we are. We're going to have a good time. We're already having a good time. And I'm here to get you a head start, at the very least, on how to organize your life with this stuff. Let me tell you this. We live in a modern world. Things are complicated. And if we were to go back 100 years in the United States of America, the people then did not have these amazing problems, these first world advanced societal problems. They were just struggling to make ends meet. They had maybe, if you're talking about outdoor blades, they maybe had two. Maybe one pocket knife, maybe a fixed blade knife. Here's the beautiful, get ready to lust after yet another thing. This is a Jesse Hemphill Bowie knife. 17.6 ounces. 9.3 inch blade. Here's a sheath. They maybe had a knife this cool. I highly doubt it. Theirs was beat up, rusted, horrible edge on it. They didn't have access to the metals, to the mass production world that we live in. They just didn't. They didn't have a ton of watches, didn't have a ton of knives, didn't have a ton of guns. They maybe had 2 guns in the closet, maybe an old hand-me-down lever action, maybe a .22, and that's it. Their life was simple. They didn't have to worry about organizational stuff because they didn't have all the things that we have. So as we amass these wonderful items, they are wonderful, that do help our lives, they do, that do prepare us for emergencies, which is a big part of what I do here in the project. What has happened is you've just amassed a huge mound of stuff. Now, maybe you look at this video and go, this is pretty funny. I'm having a good time, but I'm good with being disorganized. I don't really need to organize my shit. I'm okay to have a mound here. I'm okay if I just throw my knives in like a garbage bag and I store them down in the basement by the kibbles and bits. Okay. Okay, hear me out though. Hear me out. I bet you I change your mind. Because what you do not recognize, perhaps, is that disorganization actually weighs on your mind. Did you know that? When I was in college, and then when I went into the Air Force and I did studying, which I still do, well, not Air Force studying, but I found I had to clean my room before I studied in order to absorb and remember the information. Isn't that weird? Maybe you're not that way. Maybe you can study in an absolute wreck of a room with crap everywhere, papers piled all over the place. By the way, my wife's dad is that way. I went into his office. I'll roll in a photo. Holy crap. Goodness gracious. I mean, I can't even believe that room. It's Hoarders Central. Maybe you can study in a room like that and you go, yeah, it's no problem. I have no issues. Not me. I found that I studied better, remembered the information better if I had everything cleaned up and organized in my study location. I'm still that way. Still that way. Disorganization weighs on your mind. Messiness weighs on your mind. You may not know that, but it does. It adds stress to your life. If you have a clean, organized, put up room in which you reside, you can just do this. You can just go, yes, it just clears the mind. Now, I'm a Gear Adventure channel, so I have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. I have a lot of cast members. You just saw one. Here's another one. CZ P10C. This is a focus pistol. Awesome. Awesome gun. It's a cast member. So guess what? I have to find a place to store this. The magazines, the holsters, and every gun's that way. Every gun is its own universe of things. So here we go again with the PSA dagger. It's the same way. Granted, it's a Glock 19 clone, so the Glock 19 mags work in it, but I still have to have a place to store this. And so it goes in my gear reviewing life. So take whatever situation you find yourself in as a viewer of my video product and multiply it like 100. And that's what I'm dealing with. Seriously, it is a lot. That's why I kindly ask all of you guys, never send me anything ever. I don't need more gear. That's why for years and years, one of the many reasons I do not accept free stuff from manufacturers. Don't send me shit. Thank you. No. So I have mounds of stuff just like you, multiplied by 100. That's probably not an exaggeration, by the way. The advantages of getting disorganized. Okay, we talked about clearing your mind, right? Another thing is, and I have done this before, is when you are disorganized, you may not need said item for a while, and then lo and behold, fast forward 2 years, you need it, and you can't remember if you have it. And then you look through your crap, you go down there by the kibbles and bits in the basement, and you don't find it, and you end up rebuying it. Wah, wah. And then your wife finds it and goes, hey, is this what you were looking for? Oh, crap. Maybe it's like a laser bore sighter. I have an Arasaka scope leveler, for instance. Do I have that here? No, it's in a different one. Something like that. And then you rebuy it, and then you find the original one. You just go, oh, my gosh. You cringe and go, I just wasted money. I only needed one of those things. Dude, been there, done that. Organizing prevents wasted money because you can keep track of what you have. And if you're like me, you have complex, high variety systems. Systems. Organize. Also, if you are like that dude who just throws his knives in a garbage bag, which I guess is a good way to thwart thievery because no one's going to grab a garbage bag, I don't think. Okay, pro tip. But if you do that and you don't have a consistent system, and maybe he uses a garbage bag for this, he has cardboard boxes for that, then he uses the manufacturer's boxes to store stuff in. For instance, here's a scope box. We all have a ton of these. This is an awesome scope, by the way. Link below. But then you have this, and then what he has is a very inconsistent way of storing things. You're wasting space. I doubt a lot of you guys have unlimited space. You're probably quite space limited. And so you have to have a system that maximizes that space. It has to be consistent and easily applied. I'm here to help. Keep watching. We'll get there. We'll get there. You'll like my system. It's simple. You may have it already. When you hear it, you'll go, that's stupid. I've been doing that the whole time. A lot of people haven't. Another advantage to getting organized is it prevents damage. So if you're not organized, and let's say you bought some Microtex, and let's say you're that guy who throws them in a garbage bag for whatever dumb reason, and you throw them down there by the cat food, and they get moved around during, well, I don't know, Halloween, Christmas. They get buried under some Christmas decorations. You don't access them that often. You damage the boxes. And now, come to find out, you do want to turn those Microtex and make some money off of them. And now your boxes are all beat up. Maybe your knives are beat up and they got scratched and dented without even being used, which is a total bummer. And you find out you've lost money because of that. And collectors are particular. They are. They want a fresh box. If they're buying a used Microtech, they want the papers and box. Keep it all. But you just threw it in a damn garbage bag. It could be a scope. Maybe it's a scope and you don't have a consistent system. It falls out of your dumb way you're storing it. Maybe again in a plastic bag. Falls off a counter onto the concrete and a lens busts. And it's a, I don't know, let's say it's $1,000 Leopold. Ooh. Guns, knives, watches, if not stored properly, can get unnecessary wear. By the way, the watch is a beautiful 511 field watch programmed by yours truly. It's making me extraordinarily happy. But it is, again, more crap that needs to be stored properly so it doesn't get damaged. Prevent damage, have a good organizational system. Here's another advantage to getting organized. Maybe you do have some weird system for storing all your shit. Okay? You have baggies. You have cardboard boxes, manufacturer's boxes, and you just store them here and there. And to you, it makes absolute sense. But if you die, no one's going to understand your effed up system. Or, more likely, if one of your children or your friends needs to find something, how do they understand where to find it? Only you know your stupid system. They do. Hey, it's down there by the kibbles and bits. How do you not understand that? Seriously? It's in a garbage bag? No one would understand that. So always assume you need to have someone access to stuff that you have, not thieves, your family, your friends. And have a system that makes sense, that they can roll into that system and find the stuff. They can understand what the stuff is for. It's all properly labeled. How does it relate to everything else? I did, in dark humor style, kid about dying, but any one of us can die at any given time. My brother died last year, suddenly, fully strapped in a dang ATV, a side-by-side Honda Talon, fully with a helmet on. It was a bolt of lightning out of a blue sky. It can happen to anybody. Prepare accordingly. Help your family out if you were, heaven forbid, go down that path. Also, an efficient organizational system can help prevent theft. If you have your stuff organized properly in a very space-efficient manner, there are ways to have thieves be confused as to what it is. Now, if it's something super valuable, lock it up. It depends on where you live, honestly. Some of y'all live in really bad areas where the theft possibility is pretty darn high. You need to plan and organize accordingly. You will be spending more money on, I don't know, safes, ways to lock up your stuff. If you live in an area, which I think most of y'all do, that has low to maybe moderate theft probabilities, then just taking some adequate precautions will be sufficient. For guns, lock them up. Put them in a safe. Put them in a pistol box. Yep. And then when they come out, enjoy them, use them. Give that information to trusted individuals because, again, you could be, I don't know, bye-bye in this world at any time. And if no one knows the codes to your safes, that is a very bad thing. Getting back to my 2-part series, Children of the Gun, training your children how to be responsible and trustworthy with all your firearms, they should be. If they reach the level of Jedi Knight, my highest level of children firearm training, then they should have all the codes to your safes. They are completely trustworthy. They are your allies. They are. Now, to be honest, we could actually accelerate thievery with how we organize, depending on how we label, jumping ahead, our stuff. But be smart. Be smart. Just use a little common sense, and you might have a little bit of deception go a long way in not getting your stuff stolen. Last but not least, and I could go on forever on the advantages of getting organized, it saves time in an emergency. Now, you should have your BOKs all ready to rock and roll. They should be in a certain place. That is a bug out kit, a survival kit designed to support life for one individual for 1 week. Go watch my multi-part series on bug out kits. Thank you. But they should be in their own location. Never touched, occasionally updated, always ready. Okay, that's different. I'm talking there's a lot of other stuff that you may need. It may be not in an end of the world situation that you need to find the stuff in a time efficient manner. If you're rummaging through a bunch of Glad bags in the basement looking for your stuff, and by the way, I've done that too. Not in a Glad bag, but just, I don't know, in a cardboard box years and years ago before I had a system. I've been there, done it. It's a waste of time, and then it just, again, stresses you more because you can't find what you need in the short amount of time you need, or have, I should say. Tools fall into that category. So tools have to be organized. You have to know what you have so you don't duplicate purchases. Your family has to know where they are. That's kind of a whole different video, by the way, if and when I do that video. Tools. We're talking about organizing, well, all the stuff that I've sold you on. Knives, watches, support materials, guns, that kind of stuff. There you go. There's your intro. The reason to organize. I hope you get it. Here's the first thing I want you to do. We're getting into the meat and potatoes of the video. How to extract yourself from the living hell that is disorganization. Number 1, I want you to go out and buy 30 clear bins. Didn't see that coming, did you? Seriously, Nutnfancy? 30? Yeah. If you don't have like a jump on organization and you really don't have a system yet, you might have bins already. And if you do, 30 might be a little bit much. But I'll ballpark it. 30. I'm not messing around. Here's the bins I want you to get too. I have one coming out of my system. I have probably 100 bins. That's no exaggeration, 100 bins. This one is for pistol magazines, which are seeing a lot of use. You're going to go buy a bin this size. I took the label off it, whatever size this is. You're going to get 30 of them. Okay? Bins are your friend. They are your salvation to extract yourself from this living hell of disorganization. Bins, 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 bins. That's what you need. Here's a pro tip though. I'm not really big on the brand of bins that you get. I don't care. But I want you to do the old Nutnfancy strength test. And this is how you do it. Go to the hardware store, go to your department store, grab a bin that looks pretty good, and then take the lid off. And then with great force, when no one's looking, slam the corner of that bin down on the floor just about as hard as you can. I'm not kidding. Here's what we're doing. We are testing the strength and durability of those bins. What has happened over the last, I would say, probably 10 years. 10 years ago, the bins were a lot thicker. But in the last 10 years, they have really thinned out the plastic on the bins. And so what happens is you're going to load your bin up and you didn't strength test it. It's going to fall off the countertop and it's going to shatter. It's going to crack right through here. And by the way, voice of experience. I've had many bins crack on me. I've had to replace them. And so what I want you to do in store, and I will roll in video of me doing this, believe it or not, I want you to bang the living hell out of that bin. Corner. You're going to take it and just strike that corner. If it doesn't crack, you got a good bin. Chances are it's going to shatter. Now you may say, well, Nutnfancy, that's not right. I mean, it's not right to go into a store to crack a bin. Here's what I say. You're going to return it anyhow. It's going to break on you anyhow. They need to make the bins better. They do. So that's my technique. That's what I do. Do it, don't do it. Buy your shitty bins. Have them crack on you after you've labeled them and stored them up, and then you'll come back to this video and go, he was kind of onto something there. I probably should have tested them. Probably. This is the size I use though. You can go bigger, right? So you can go bins that are like twice the size. I have another one that is deeper. So it's this bin that's deeper, whatever it is, a 25, 32 quart. I really should know the sizes, but I don't. You guys can see, this is my main go-to size because it fits on shelves easily. It fits way more stuff than you think it would fit. These bins. Okay, so you're gonna go buy 30 of those. I know it sounds like a lot. Maybe you can cut back, okay? But initially I want you to buy 30 of them. If I have links to the stuff below, I'll put them below. If not, you're on your own. Then I want you to buy quality baggies of various sizes. You can use freezer bags. Do not use sandwich bags or very thin, cheesy bags. No. Quality bags. I spend the money and have spent the money for the Nutnfancy project purposes on thick bags. Here's a good example. These are 8x10 6mm commercial bags. Look at these mamma jammas, dude. These are so awesome. Why do I need a thick baggie? Because this is a baggie that I want you to use for at least 10 years, maybe 20. And so just buy quality, something that's not going to fall apart, that is transparent so you can see the stuff that you're storing in it, that is ready for your labeling. We'll get to that. Buy quality baggies. Here's two more examples. This is, I think, a 4mm baggie. This is a 4x6. Yes, I have various sizes. Do the same. If I can find links, I'll put them below. This is a smaller baggie. I think these are 4mm too. Whatever they are. I have all sizes of baggies. You're going to go through these baggies like crazy. Okay? That's step 2. Well, actually, that's 1B. 2, I want you to go get colored electrical tape or a labeler.
Nutnfancy, somehow, some way, I knew a labeler would be advocated because I've seen your labels on basically everything.
Do I have some back here? You're right, dude. I do label a lot, but again, well, heck, there you go. I label that. Freaking, it's on the blade too. Okay, guilty as charged, but I have to stay organized. So either get a labeler or colored electrical tape. Get the good stuff. Don't get off-brand. So this is, I believe, 3M or Scotch brand colored electrical tape, and you can have a system to your colors. Now, for my bins, I usually use a white tape because it's very easy to write on. But maybe you have a certain category you want to use yellow for, a certain category you want to use orange for, and white for. The more organized you are, the more you're going to love it. And the more your friends and family, well, your family will thank you. And then get your Sharpies. So this is a standard Sharpie. Get like a whole box of these Sharpies. You should have Sharpies everywhere. Here's a thin Sharpie. These are expensive. I don't know why these are so expensive, but they are. But I use these all the time. And that, my friends, is how you're going to label these bins, perhaps. I'm going to get to the art of labeling the bins. You saw I use a different technique here, but we'll get back to that. Okay? Number 3, I want you to choose a room in your house or your apartment and clean it. Vacuum it. Get all the pet hair off of it. Move everything out of the way. I'm serious. Do it. We are going through organizing your shit. And this is step 3. So you got your bins, you got your electrical tape, you got your baggies. All that's on the table, ready to rock and roll. Now we're going to clean out an area where we can organize. Doesn't have to be a room. It can be a driveway on a very nice weather day. Clean it so there's no hair, no debris, nothing. So that's step 3. Number 4, you're going to love this. You're going to love it. This is at the heart of getting organized. Never heard anyone say this before. It is an original Nutnfancy concept. What I want you to do, and you're going to have a good time doing this, you can involve the kids, is start creating
piles of crap. Actually, it's not crap. It's just, categories of things, but you can call it crap.
Get categories. So perhaps, let's go into my pistol bin. Here's one of those baggies. By the way, I'm using a freezer bag here because I didn't have one big enough. Glock 48 mags. That's a category. So I would get all the magazines to a certain pistol and put them in a pile in the room. Just start piling them up. Maybe you have a SIG 365. Maybe you have an AR-15. Pile those up. So what we are doing is just dispersing stuff into like categories. Now, it can be like focused on your firearm stuff one day. The next day you go with your knife stuff. The next day you go with your watch stuff. But we're doing categories and we're putting piles of crap on the floor in preparation for what? Well, you saw it already, right? Preparation for this. Bagging it up. Right? Bagging it up. That's what you're doing. And that may take you hours to do. And don't get overwhelmed. Don't get too ambitious in this approach. What you want to do is slow your roll and focus on what you want to organize first. Maybe it is, tools or something like that. Maybe it's school supplies. Maybe it's socks. Maybe it's gloves. But try to categorize things according to use that makes sense. And what we will have is, like you see with this pistol mag bin, is we have the larger category. And by the way, these are not the only pistol mags I have. These are just the ones that are being tested currently or whatever reason. They have to be more easily accessible. But this is the big category. And then within the bin, I have the subcategory, right? As you're seeing. So my 1911 pouch is empty because I have some in a gun case right now because I'm testing some 1911s. But it's ready to go. And guess where those magazines get put back when I'm done with them? Right here. So you're going to have an organization system and you have to adhere to it. So don't go through all this time and work and then after you're done using something, you just throw all the stuff down there with the kibbles and bits. You got to put them back in the bin. Be disciplined. Glock 17 mags. Oh, what do you know? Pre-labeled. Look at that. Nutnfancy, I can't believe you just love that labeler so much. I do. By the way, that's not for plastic baggies. That's actually for the bottom of the magazines. That way, anyone, not me necessarily, like I said, can pick up a magazine and go, oh, this is to a Glock 19. Oh, that's to a Glock 17. Holy crap, that's a Glock 20 10 mil mag. You think everyone would know that? They don't. You might. Again, don't assume they know. Browning high power mags. Yeah, review coming. Brace thyself. Dated. Why do I date it? I don't know, I just do. Because it kind of lets me know when I got these, what was going on, and I can reference it to TMP records. Goodness gracious, how fun. So you have all your piles. Let's say you ended up with 25 piles of stuff in a category of things. Great. Now it's time to
bin up.
And the way you're going to bin up is you're first going to label your bins, okay? Now, I mentioned I would tell you the difference in this labeling system. What I did with this bin is I actually used colored index cards, which I do like this system. It's great. This is actually on the inside of the bin. It's not on the outside. Then I use clear packing tape to tape that index card on the inside of the clear bin. Yeah, I like it too. It works great. One reason I'm kind of off of that system now is because it takes too long. It's a little bit of work. Now for this bin, which is used all the time, I don't mind it. Generally what you're going to use is colored electrical tape with Sharpie on it and just put it on 3 sides. Put it on the end, the top, the other end. And dude, when you start doing that, you're just going to feel so much peace enter your life. You will. You will. And once you start bagging this stuff up, you put in categories, you're just going to say, oh my gosh, why hadn't I thought of this before? I don't know. And then label the baggies in one way or another. This is my older system. Again, I'm just throwing an index card in the baggie that's labeled. And that is sufficient. You don't have to use electrical tape. This works. This was my older system. Now I'm putting either electrical tape on the outside of the baggie, or I write in very pronounced lettering on colored index cards taped to the baggie, the labeling. And that has worked great as well. And this is a durable system. When I tape these index cards to the outside of the clear plastic, this is probably a 6mm baggie, which is already strong. It makes it even stronger. Yeah, but if you want, just use your colored electrical tape or use your labeler. Just have some way to consistently label it. I have found the bigger and bolder the labeling to a point, the more people will like it. And thank you for it. Okay, how fun. So it's taken you, let's say, 4 hours to get to this point, not including the time to go out and find and buy all this stuff, the materials. So now you have, let's say from that 25 piles, you have, I don't know, let's say you have 8 bins. And they're full up and they're labeled and you're feeling good. Now what do you do? Well, it depends on how much space you have. What I would like you to do is think creatively on where to store these bins. Now, you dudes who live in apartments and don't have a lot of space, I will humbly submit to you, you probably have more space than you know. The reason you think you don't have space is because
you're not organized. Get rid of that shit and make some space.
Let me talk about that for a second. As you're getting organized, go through and really ask yourself, do I need such and such? If you find it is an item or items that you don't need that falls into the junk category, give it to Goodwill. Get rid of it. Right? Get rid of it. If it's something you think your kids will need, you want to hang on to it, maybe it's an heirloom stuff, don't throw it away. Find a way to organize it. Which, by the way, I mentioned the word heirloom. That is another thing that will need to be organized, an heirloom. Or collectible pieces from your family. They can be binned up, enveloped, labeled, put in a bin, you betcha. Now, when I say get rid of crap, once you start organizing, you're actually compressing these things. You're actually getting rid of dead space in your life, and you are becoming more efficient. So let's look at the space, you guys who live in condominiums and apartments, let's look at the space under your bed. If I were to go under there now, I would probably see a collection of pornography, probably some Oreos wrappers, your fingernail clippings, some discarded underwear, probably streaked, gross stuff. You need to get rid of all that stuff. You need to vacuum it, clean it, and use that area for bin storage. And remember, I said different sizes of bins. So maybe you don't have the height to store this under your bed. Go to a different size bin. And they have the flat ones, the long ones. Maybe what you're storing, it makes more sense. Maybe you're organizing clothing and you want to, maybe lay it flat under your bed or something like that is a space that can be taken advantage of. Now, for most of us, we might have enough space in our houses, wherever we live, to put in a shelving system. Maybe have some shelves already. What I want you to do is look creatively in your living spaces and say, where can I shelf up? Now, those ventilated, white vinyl-coated shelves, I use a lot. And so the higher places in rooms, I'll put a vinyl shelf. In fact, I'm looking at one right now. I'll put a shelf and where I have height. And then I can stack stuff, maybe bins, maybe, containers of, I got some oil, some stable that I'm looking at right now. And you can use that area. Think creatively, mount your shelves. I do like wire shelves in these spaces that can roll. There's some real high quality wire shelving that can roll around if you want to move them. Gorilla shelves, sometimes they sell them at Costco, are awesome. You need to have space for them. Make sure you take time leveling them with wood shims, because a lot of our floors are not level because they're angled for drainage or whatnot. Now, with your shelves in place, dedicate them only, let me back up a little bit, maybe not only, but dedicate them mostly to bin storage. And when you have bins, try to store your bins in categories that make sense. In other words, if I have a whole bin and it's labeled family heirlooms, I don't know if I want to have it right next to gun stuff or knife stuff or fire making stuff. Or I have bins for all my camping gear. I have like culinary stuff, cooking supplies, fire making bin, water purification bin. I'm not making any of that up. I do. It's all categorized. And guess what? It's all stored next to each other because it makes sense. It's backpacking stuff. So try to make it make sense. And then with your bins organized, your shelves put into place, the magic starts happening. Then you're starting to stack it up, and dude, the sense of peace that will come over your soul. You're welcome. I'm not kidding, dude. Let me show you this too. So I talked about large bins. You can also get these small parts bins. So this is my watch battery bin, organized. Each one is labeled. You can see the little labels, and what do you know? What do you see in there? Oh, you see the white electrical tape with me just putting my permanent marker on it. On most of them, there's probably some labeling going on there. Let me open the lid. I don't want to dump these though. And the quartz watch movements can be a pain because some of the movements just go through batteries. There you go. Dude, that's a lot of batteries. Yeah, no shit. It is. I'm a watch reviewer. At least for now. We'll see what the future holds. It's a lot. It's an expense too. But now if I need a battery, I just go to my bin. And I keep it stocked up. That's another thing. It's like when you're organized, you can see when you're running low on something. So maybe you make a bin for 9mm defensive ammunition. Is a bin the best way to store it? You decide. I've done it and I still do it. And then when you see the quantity going down, you're like, time to reorder. You know, first aid supplies. I'm very organized with all my first aid supplies. I have huge like action packer bins holding my bulk first aid stuff. Then I have smaller stuff. And then when I see the supplies going down, reorder. Stay organized, stay prepped up. But you can't do that if you just have garbage bags and, you know, manufacturers' boxes all around. No. Let's speak of that real quick, by the way. I want to throw this in. So you get a box with a lot of stuff you buy, your scopes in other words. My recommendation is throw them in the garbage. You don't have space. It's going to hurt your soul a little bit because you're going to say, I love that box. It's so cool. Throw it away. Unless you plan on reselling it, which you probably won't, just huck it. You got to be pretty ruthless with manufacturing or manufacturers' boxes that they send you. Now, as a watch reviewer, I get a lot of these boxes from watch manufacturers. I hate storing them, but I have to because I'm probably reselling a lot of the watches later. But for you, who's going to hang on to it forever, hawk it. Yeah, you're going to like this. Here is my night vision bin. I can't show you the full label because it is top secret. But night vision right there, dude. Yeah, all my NV stuff is in there. Nice. In one location. Is that bin big enough? Well, for now it is, but we'll see in the future. Nutnfancy, can you show me everything you have in there? Not really, no. There's a couple things I'll show you. So here's a PVS 14 unit right here. Boom. There you go. Labeled so people know what it is, so I know what it is. I got extra batteries in there. I got battery packs for the A10 4K Thor scope and for the AGM Taipan, which I just got done testing. Awesome, awesome unit. Highly recommend it. I have mounts in here. I have this in here. Oh, I need to review this. I got a D-Ball i2 in there. Dude, I can't believe you haven't come out with your review yet, Nutnfancy. That's because I'm busy. It's on the list, dude. And again, you can go to action packers, larger Rubbermaids, but the concept remains the same. And the concept is you're going to categorize, subcategorize, and when it makes sense, put them in plastic baggies. It doesn't always make sense. So don't feel like everything has to go in a plastic baggie. I don't do it with my NV stuff because it doesn't make sense. Only with smaller things, of which I have several, and it makes sense that they don't get scattered to the four winds or even in a bin. I'll put it in a plastic bag. But you don't have to do that. The big idea is keeping like stuff in one bin. You're welcome. You're welcome. And dude, we're pretty much at the end of the video, which is so sad. Remember, Be pretty ruthless when you decide what to throw away. A lot of the stuff you may not need. Also, an advantage I forgot to mention at the beginning of getting organized is, I did say it in that you won't rebuy something that you already have, but another advantage is if it's in sight, i.e. these are transparent bins, you can see it, it's in mind. Out of sight, out of mind. So you may forget that you have this awesome thing. You don't use it. Your family doesn't use it. But once you start organizing, you're going to find stuff that you, well, forgot about, and you're going, oh man, I need to start using that. Well, just like that. Yeah. Oh, wire racks wherever possible. Oh, by the way, look for other spaces to hang things like holstered guns or holsters. If you want, you can actually keep the gun in the holster, like a shoulder holster, Galco, classic like Miami Classic, a Jackass rig. I have a hanger on one of my office doors that's on the back side, and I just hang holsters there that I'm using in the project. Sometimes with a gun in it, whatever. You decide if it's, I got to always put it in the safe. That's your call. Sometimes just leave the gun in it because it's being used frequently, or it's a carried piece all the time. If you have something that's outsized, large, it won't fit in a bin, think about duffels. Big duffels. Again, the same concept applies. Don't put a bunch of different things in a duffel. Make it make sense. So I have large duffels that I'll use, 4 duffels. Like I have a wide variety of duffels I use in the project, on the back of the motorcycles, hiking, going from place to place when I'm testing guns. Put them all in there. Also, I'll use very large bins for like stuff. And I may roll in some pictures during this video. I may not, because I really don't like throwing out to the world the stuff I have. I think I'd rather explain it. But I might throw a few pictures in there, just show you what I'm talking about. There you go. I'm here to help. Nutnfancy, to take you out of the
living hell that is disorganization. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Let me know and comment if this video helps you. Did you already do it? Did you know these simple steps to getting organized? I bet some of y'all did, that you're already organized. But I would say, just guessing, 75% of you guys were completely disorganized. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed with all that crap that I've bought off the Nutnfancy reviews. And again, getting organized is so beneficial for your whole mindset, to take you to that happy place called nirvana. And along the way, once you get organized, you can decide what you want to keep. So once you get your knives binned up, your ammunition or your gun accessories binned up, maybe you decide, hey, I don't really need this anymore because I sold the gun. I have 5 magazines from that gun I no longer own. Sell them. Sell them. Oh, watches. Let me add this super quick before I leave. Watches should be organized as well. I will roll in a picture of one of my watch storage cabinets. I do recommend you store your watches with a clear front on them so you can see them. Truly, out of sight, out of mind applies to your watches. If you don't see it every day, you're probably not going to wear it. Is there a theft danger with that system? Yes, there is. But life is a balancing of priorities. We only live for so long. I would like you to wear your watches and have a rotation of watches. And as such, you may have to spend some money on watch cabinets. Well, I think my watch cabinets hold like 36 watches. Yeah, and that way you can see them and you can go, what watch am I wearing today? And enjoy the happiness that comes with that. Yeah, you can bin up your watches, put them in plastic bags, and just open the bin and go through it every morning. It's a little bit more work. And then knives. I did mention like the dude throwing his knives in a garbage bag. I hope that doesn't happen, but maybe it does. I have used like padded knife cases before where I put them in individual padded slots out of the boxes. And again, the disadvantage of doing that is out of sight, out of mind. You forget you have a certain knife, you don't use it. Some of my knives are just in a drawer. They're in a drawer, and I open the drawer. I was like, what am I going to, use today? If they get stolen, they get stolen. It's just stuff. It's just stuff. But for me to use it, I have to see it. And so kind of apply that for stuff that you really enjoy using. It has to be seen. So you have to balance security with use. That's what I'm saying. For knives, most are in a safe, and they do get cycled in as cast members. Like my expensive knives are safed up. But I do go through, as a reviewer, I'm not a normal dude, I'm a reviewer. As a reviewer, I go through, I extract them, I go through them and take an inventory. And also, through the years, I've sold pieces to make money for the project. There we go. I'm done, dude. That is feature length, How to Organize Your Life by Lieutenant Colonel Nutnfancy. I hope it helps. That's right, I have heard your cries for help. They have burdened my soul. And then let me know if this helps. Let me know if you've bent up, you've used your plastic baggies and the labeling system to get your stuff in order. Thanks so much to the donors who made this video possible. Please consider being one for the rest of your life. $2 a video. I charge $6 per month currently in Patreon. You don't have to put any limits on it. That's all I'll ever charge. So I don't have any tier systems because I do it stupidly. If I did, I would make more money. But I've always approached it in quantity. So more donors, maybe $1 a video if that's all you can afford. Much appreciated. Signing off until we meet again in the field, on a backpacking trip, in the bunker, on tabletop. The adventure continues, and it is real.